Elementary Science Class 6. Water.
How much water do we use? Maisie, have you ever thought about how much water we use every day?
Not really. Why is it important?
Water is a precious resource, and we need to conserve it. We use water for many activities throughout the day, like brushing our teeth, taking a shower, cooking, and cleaning.
That's a lot of water. How can we conserve it?
One way is to measure the amount of water we use for each activity and find ways to reduce it. We can also fix any leaks and use water-efficient appliances.
That's a great idea. How much water do we need in a year?
It depends on the number of family members and the activities we do. We can estimate the amount of water needed by one member of our family in a year, and then calculate the total amount of water needed by our village or town in a year.
Wow, that's a lot of water. Is water only used for our daily activities?
No, water is also used in industries for producing almost all the things that we use. We need water not only for our daily activities but also for producing many things.
I had no idea. Water conservation is essential, and we need to do our part in preserving this precious resource.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps in conserving water and preserving our planet's resources. Water cycle. Water evaporates into the air and becomes a part of it. It's a natural process that happens all around us.
That's interesting. I never thought about it that way. How does it happen?
Water evaporates through the process of heating, like when the sun heats up water in oceans, rivers, and lakes. It also happens when water is heated on a burner.
What about when it's in the shade? Does it still evaporate?
Yes, it does. The warm air surrounding us provides heat for the evaporation of water in the shade.
I had no idea. What happens to the water vapor after it evaporates?
The water vapor becomes a part of the air and cannot usually be seen. It's a slow process, which is why we rarely notice its loss from a bucket full of water.
That's fascinating. How does the water get back to the Earth's surface?
The process of condensation plays an important role in bringing water back to the surface of the Earth. When the air moves up, it gets cooler and cooler, and the water vapor present in it condenses to form tiny drops of water called droplets. It's these tiny droplets that remain floating in the air and appear to us as clouds. Back to oceans. Most of the water that falls on the land as rain and snow sooner or later goes back to the oceans. This happens in many ways.
That's fascinating. How does it happen?
Snow in the mountains melts into water. This water flows down the mountains in the form of streams and rivers. Some of the water that falls on land as rain also flows in the form of rivers and streams. Most of the rivers cover long distances on land and ultimately fall into a sea or an ocean.
I see. What about lakes and ponds?
The rainwater also fills up the lakes and ponds. A part of the rainwater gets absorbed by the ground and seems to disappear in the soil. Some of this water is brought back to the air by the process of evaporation and transpiration. The rest seeps into the ground. Most of this water becomes available to us as groundwater. Open wells are fed by groundwater. Groundwater is the source for many lakes as well.
That's amazing. But what about areas with little or no vegetation?
In those areas, the rainwater flows away quickly. Flowing rainwater also takes the top layer of the soil away with it. There are few areas where most of the land is covered with concrete. This reduces the seepage of rainwater into the ground, which ultimately affects the availability of groundwater.
That's concerning. Is there anything we can do to help?
We need to be mindful of our impact on the environment. The more we use hand pumps or tube wells in an area, the deeper we need to dig to find groundwater. The loss in the level of groundwater due to overuse is worrisome. What if it rains heavily? Maisie, Did you know that rainfall varies from place to place?
Yes, I did. Some places receive rainfall throughout the year, while others only receive rain for a few days.
That's right. In India, most rainfall occurs during the monsoon season. Rains bring relief, especially after hot summer days.
Excessive rainfall, however, may lead to many problems. Heavy rains may cause floods which may lead to extensive damage to crops, domestic animals, property, and human life.
That's true. During floods, animals living in the water also get carried away with the water, and often get trapped on land areas and die when floodwater recedes. Rains also affect the animals living in the soil.
What happens if it does not rain for a long period?
In drought conditions, it is difficult to get food and fodder. The soil becomes dry, and the level of water in ponds and wells goes down, and some of them may even dry up. The groundwater may also become scarce, leading to drought.
That's right. Droughts cause difficulties for people living in affected areas and also impact animals and vegetation. It's essential to be mindful of responsible water management.
How can we conserve water? Did you know that only a small fraction of water available on Earth is fit for use of plants, animals, and humans?
No, I didn't. Why is that?
Most of the water is in the oceans, and it cannot be used directly. When the level of the groundwater decreases drastically, this cannot be used anymore. The total amount of water on Earth remains the same, but the water available for use is very limited and is decreasing with overusage.
That's alarming. What can we do to conserve water?
We should take care not to waste water. One way of increasing the availability of water is to collect rainwater and store it for later use. Collecting rainwater in this way is called rainwater harvesting.
How does rainwater harvesting work?
The basic idea behind rainwater harvesting is catch water where it falls. One technique of rainwater harvesting is rooftop rainwater harvesting. In this system, the rainwater is collected from the rooftop to a storage tank, through pipes. This water may contain soil from the roof and needs filtering before it is used. Another option is to allow water to go into the ground directly from the roadside drains that collect rainwater.